Okay, so for my first two exercises for scapular stabilization, we have protraction and retraction. There's two variations to do this. One is on the tabletop and one is up against the wall, and I'll show both variations of that exercise. So first, for protraction and retraction on the tabletop, you're going to ask the athlete to sit next to the table. It's going to be about shoulder level height, and they're going to put their arms straight in front with their hand facing up in anatomical position. You're going to have the athlete retract their shoulder blade. As another cue that you can tell them is to squeeze their shoulder blade, try to pinch their shoulder blades together. So squeeze their shoulder blades together into retraction and then push out into protraction. Repeat these exercises over and over again, like so. So these exercises can have some common mistakes. A lot of athletes, when they try to retract their shoulder blade, will squeeze their elbow, like squeeze their shoulder blade to their ear, and kind of move their elbow in. Another common mistake is they're gonna try to move their head with it, move their head forward when they're protracting. You want to keep your body up in a good neutral position, neutral head, neutral neck, while they're retracting and protracting, so that the only things that are actually working is that retract, protract movement. Within this movement, the main muscles being moved are your serratus anterior, your rhomboids, your middle trapezius, your pectoralis minor. This exercise is done in the frontal plane and is really targeting your glenohumeral joint, which is that GH joint in your shoulder blade. Another variation of this is the wall exercise. So it's very similar. You'll have an athlete stand up against the wall, straight arms about shoulder height. So their arms straight out in front of them. Same thing, you're going to retract your shoulder blades, protract your shoulder blades. Retract, protract. Again, common mistakes: dropping of the head, bending of the elbows, not keeping your arms locked out. So some of those can happen when you see an athlete doing these exercises. Next, we also have two exercises that have a tabletop and a wall variation, which is elevation and depression. So you're going to ask the athlete to sit, same thing, up against that table. This time their arm's going to be out at a 90-degree angle, fully straight. Same thing, hand up in anatomical position. They are going to elevate and depress. Elevate and depress. Same thing, neutral neck, neutral head, sitting up nice and tall. To elevate their shoulder, you're going to ask them to pull their hand in, and then to depress, you really want to focus on pushing that hand away to get the full depression. So throw that hand away, get the full depression, elevation, depression, elevation, depression. Same thing. You could have a bend in the elbow. We don't want that. We don't want you to lose your posture in your head. We want to make sure everything is nice and tall. For this, similar muscles are being worked. It's your upper trapezius, your rhomboids, your levator scapulae is working, your lower trapezius, your pectoralis minor, and your lower part of your serratus anterior. We are still moving in the frontal plane. And for this, same thing, you have the wall exercise. So we're going to go up against the wall. Same thing, arms out in front, shoulder level. You are going to elevate and depress. Elevate and depress. Squeeze the shoulder blades up to the ears. Depress back down. Squeeze up, squeeze down. Up, depress. So for our next exercise, we have pronation and supination with a bat. This is very common in baseball. This is something that we personally do with our baseball team. I do not have a bat, so we are going to act like I have one in my hand. I'm going to use a dog toy. So in this, you're going to be standing up. You're going to have your arm at a 90-degree angle. The variations of difficulty can depend on where in which you hold the bat. So if you feel like you are very strong, pronation, supination, you'll hold further end of the distal end of the bat. You can hold up near the weighted part of the bat to make it a little bit easier. But you're going to have your athlete stand, arm at a 90-degree angle, and they are going to supinate their wrist and pronate their wrist, rotating in and out, just like that. So with this, you're working with the radial ulnar joint, and then main muscles being moved is going to be your pronator teres, your pronator quadratus, your flexor capri radialis, biceps brachii are in there, your supinator, and your brachioradialis. There's a couple variations that you can do. You can use the weighted bats. You can use a regular bat. You can use a sledgehammer. You can use a broomstick. Something that has an end in which one side is heavier than the other to make it harder for that pronation, supination. And with that, it kind of varies on different things that you can do. You can have your arms all the way out. You can have your arms tucked in a 90-degree angle. This one specifically mentions you want your arms tucked in at a 90-degree angle. I've seen it done a couple of different ways. This next exercise is a little bit more on the advanced side. So you're going to have an athlete get into a side plank position. They're going, once again, I'm demoing with dog toys. I don't have the necessary things at my house. So they're going to get in a side plank. You're going to have them lay on their non-throwing arm. So I throw right-handed, so we're going to get in a left side plank. Within that left side plank, I'm going to wedge something in between my throwing arm right underneath my armpit. Once again, we're using a dog toy. So you're going to wedge that underneath your armpit. And then for this, you are going to have a resistance band. You're going to hold either end of the resistance band. And you are going to get into that side plank. So elbows down. Let me adjust this so y'all can see me better. Elbows down on the floor. I'm up in my side plank. And with this resistance band, I'm going to pull and externally rotate my shoulder, keeping that towel wedged between my armpits. For this, there's a couple of different muscles being worked. Mainly, since we're focusing on our rotator cuff, it is the infraspinatus, the teres minor, and your posterior deltoid. Once again, we're working with the glenohumeral joint because we're working with our shoulder. With this, you can do a various of different weights for your resistance bands to make it harder, make it easier. Depends on how advanced your athlete is and how strong those muscles actually are for their external rotation. Once again, common mistakes with this one: not maintaining good posture, dropping your head, dropping your core, not staying in that good side plank position. And then again, moving the elbow. So you want to keep that towel wedged. So if you move your elbow with it and you drop the towel, that's not something that you want to do. You want to focus just on externally rotating that shoulder. And then this, we are working in the transverse plane.